is Monday, June 24th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very early get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Monday. We did a little bit of single leg takedown, a little bit of double leg takedown, and then a neat little variation on an armbar in kind of a Kimura to an armbar transition. And I gotta tell you, I was really digging that one. We got in so many reps, and you know, it really makes me feel like this show itself is, I swear, it's like my Santa Claus jiu-jitsu like wish list. You know, it's like I'll say something on this show about, gosh, you know, I wish we could get more reps in, and fuck, next thing you know, wouldn't you know it, I have basically a private lesson with a higher degree and much better player than I. Hour and a half solid of reps and reps and reps and reps. I think I did more single leg and double leg takedowns today than I have in the last like 2 months cumulatively. Well, maybe not that long cumulatively, but a lot of fucking double leg takedowns versus my normal level. And honestly, I feel like I need at least one more day just like that a week to really be getting somewhere with my jiu-jitsu. But yeah, it was a solid class. It was just the two of us. Still got in a lot of really good work, and I mean, to the point where I wasn't even wearing my full gi. I don't think I had my gi jacket on, but my no, I did have my gi jacket on. My apologies there. But yeah, my gi pants were just soaking fucking wet at the end of it, just because we just kept going, you know, rep, you know, and we didn't really mess around with trying to get too deep into the counter and then counter and then counter. Just really focusing on a specific movement, a specific desired outcome, and the mechanics of getting there from point A to point B, and just really breaking it down. You know, and trying to feel exactly where the pressure is to do the fucking move right. And by the end of it, I really felt like I had the transition from the dorsal Kimura to the armbar pretty down pat. I mean, I'm really hoping to catch somebody with that soon, because it's a sick transition. But anyway, it's funny because I actually got somebody in a similar thing the other day, but on Sunday. But it wasn't quite the same situation. I had him up for the dorsal Kimura, but he had his hand tucked really, really well, and I was having a lot of difficulty pulling it out of there. So what I did instead was that I transitioned back to having him flat and having like side control. And then I took it to the old Americana, and at first I was really slow about it. You know, I had his wrist, but I was slow about getting my arm in there, and then I just kind of scrunched it all together, you know, to where there was hardly any space for my arm, but he couldn't do anything with the arm. You know, it was like scrunched at his side there, and I had his wrist with his palm facing upward. You know, and so I managed to sneak my arm up under and then into that itty bitty crook there, and then just extended out and locked it down. But yeah, it doesn't happen very often, and especially not against a colored belt. This guy's actually pretty good. So I felt like especially like good about having caught him in a submission. I mean, it fucking happens so rarely, especially against a guy that's fucking blue belt or better. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if I catch somebody that's a blue belt or better in something, it's like accidental. You know, I mean, I'm starting to feel like that's changing a little bit with regard to my jiu-jitsu, but just the same, the number of occurrences where it's happened, where, you know, I was planning on sinking something in, and I actually managed to sink it in against somebody who's higher than a blue belt or even a blue belt. It's so low that, you know, I feel like It's almost a step, like a stepping stone. Eventually maybe it might become something that happens more than once in a blue moon, but you never know. I'm sure stranger things have happened, such as my even walking in the door there. And that's something I think about a lot, because I got to say, for a lot of my life, I've let fear kind of block me from doing certain things. And shit, this show is one of them, both initially and later on, starting, doing this show initially and then starting it up again. Those were things that I faced in my mind several times before I actually had the balls to get up and do it, But anyway, jiu-jitsu was one of the biggest ones, and really it was, I think, kind of the start of a accumulation of such incidents where I was being faced with the possibility of doing something that I'd always wanted to do, and then here it was. Hey, go for it, man. Give it a wing, give it a whirl. And it was kind of funny because it was at a time when I was working at a place that I really didn't like. And so, it was really weird because I'd passed this place like a billion times. And it was only like a fancy in passing that I would ever go in. Much less sign up for classes, much less earn a blue belt and be still training, 4 or 5 days a week 3 years later. That just blows my mind, that ever began. Especially because jiu-jitsu's kind of chased me throughout my life. There's been opportunities where, people have told me, hey man, you wrestle pretty good. You really ought to check out jiu-jitsu. And I kind of blew it off. Yeah, whatever. Maybe when I was 18, I grew up in the town that jiu-jitsu landed in the United States. So it's like, why wouldn't I, right? But at the same time, like I said, there's a lot of fear. And when I was living down in Los Angeles, there was a lot to back up that fear. And I didn't really understand that until after I had moved up here, after I had already started training jiu-jitsu. Because I looked up this really interesting movie called Roll. And that was like an exploration of a lot of the history of jiu-jitsu, kind of where it got started in Torrance and in Southern California in general, and or at least American jiu-jitsu, or Gracie jiu-jitsu. There we go. I don't know, there's Gracie jiu-jitsu down in Brazil too, but where it landed here in the United States. And there were certain things that were overlapping with my own timeline that I didn't, when I saw them happening, I'm like, oh fuck, I remember that, We're like, I went to El Camino for a very short period of time, and there's a guy there teaching Shotokan, and he had started training jiu-jitsu, and I guess, I don't know if he actually had permission to, because I think he was actually learning jiu-jitsu like secondhand from like one of the Gracie's students, or the Machados. I couldn't tell you. Anyway, he was a Shotokan instructor teaching a self-defense class, and he incorporated certain elements of jiu-jitsu, such as dealing with somebody in a mount position, if just a simple Oompa escape. But anyway, that kind of dovetailed into my own experience. I was working at a gym, and it was physically located between a Machado gym and a Gracie gym, and there were all kinds of like battles between the two gyms, where like one of the guys from one gym would go to the other guy's gym and say, hey, fuck you, I'll kick everybody's ass, or some shit like that, and get his ass kicked, and then I'd be talking to him while he's doing the recumbent bike in my gym, black eye, got his arm in a sling. Oh yeah, man, I've been training jiu-jitsu for 3 years. It's awesome. You ought to try it. And I'm looking at this guy going, fuck you. It's like, it's like a triple amputee in a wheelchair telling somebody they need to enlist in the military. It's a great adventure. Fuck that. I don't have any desire to do that shit. But, so like I said, my fear had plenty of reinforcement down there. But, I'm kind of glad that it took me as long as it did to get to it, because I think if I'd have done it when I was younger, chances are that I probably would have injured myself or gotten injured doing it, and only because, I'm kind of a rough and tumble guy when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I'll admit it. I do have trouble backing off and keeping it easy and trying to keep myself from getting too far ahead of myself. And that's a lot easier now, but I can imagine that when I was like 22, 23 years old, it probably would have been a lot tougher for me. So, yeah. Anywho, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. This is coin metal, not Frank Dashwood martial arts history. So, as far as what we're going to put down, let's go with some Megadeth, and I'm feeling the need for it. Wake Up Dead, First Dance, here on Coin Metal. And that was 9 Inch Nails with Mr. Self-Destruct. Damn, I love that song. And I'll tell you what, when I first listened to that album, just something like snapped in my dome, man. It was just like, what the have you ever listened to an album just like literally makes your palms sweat, and you just like feel cold flushes, and you're just like, what am I experiencing right now? That's kind of what I felt when first time I listened to Nin. Anywho, as far as what we're going to get into today, I've got this article here on the Bitcoinist.com, and this one, I kind of called this a long time ago, and it's really unfortunate that it should happen to this dude, Craig Wright. Basically, my assessment on his situation has always been, if he proves he's Satoshi Nakamoto, he's due for lawsuits and prison time. And if he fails to prove that he is Satoshi Nakamoto, he faces lawsuits and jail time. So, yeah, and so here it is. Craig Wright is fucked, says NY lawyer. And this is authored by George Georgiev, authored June 24, 2019 at 1600 hours. No indication of time zone. Shame on you, Georgie. But yes, penis. Craig Wright lawsuit. Back in February 2018, the brother of the now deceased David Kleeman filed a lawsuit against the self-proclaimed Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin SV proponent Craig Wright. Ira Kleeman alleges that Wright stole a sum of Bitcoins that the latter mined with his brother during the earliest years of Bitcoin. Commenting on the matter is Daniel Kleeman, a lawyer licensed in New York, a foreign registered lawyer in Taiwan, and a solicitor licensed in Hong Kong, who claims to have been in private practice focused on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency related matters since 2013. Apparently, in the above lawsuit, the court had ordered Craig Wright to produce a list of the Bitcoin addresses where David Kleeman and himself held the cryptocurrency. Wright argued that it is impossible, as those Bitcoins were placed in a blind trust back in 2011, and he doesn't have access to it. That's because the trust requires him to contact a number of different trustees who are unreachable for various reasons. Not so fast. The court, however, has issued an order on June 14th which indicates that it believes that Craig Wright does indeed have the power to contact these trustees and hence access the trust. It had ordered a hearing scheduled for June 28th as to whether or not Wright should be held in contempt of court for actually failing to produce the addresses in question. Needless to say, contempt of court is a very powerful remedy which allows judges to ensure that litigants comply with the court's rules. The lawyer argues that it's Kleeman's strategy to expose that Wright is not trustworthy, which is also something that puts his claims of being Satoshi Nakamoto to the test. However, Kelman also says that the real strategy that is pursued by Kleeman is to seek a confidential settlement from Wright for an amount less than that sought in court, leveraging their ability to expose him as a fraud. In essence, it's pay me or get exposed, says the lawyer. Oh, damn it, Jim. Hold on one second. I brought in a tasty beverage. I need to get a sip of it. Arch. Thank goodness for background music, right? Anyway, continuing. Would it help Peter McCormick? Naturally, the outcome of the case between Kleeman and Wright could impact a more recent trial between Bitcoin SV's proponent and popular cryptocurrency YouTuber Peter McCormick. The latter was recently served with a GBP 100,000 libel claim from Craig Wright. McCormick has since decided to pursue the matter in court and going all the way against CSW. However, both cases are held under different jurisdictions, as Wright versus McCormick is in the UK, while the other case is in the US. Regardless if Kleeman fails to reach a settlement, or if that's not his strategy and goes on to expose Wright's trustworthiness, this could possibly have serious consequences on his future trials, where he claims that he's the real Satoshi Nakamoto. And you know what? This didn't even actually get into the claims that Kelman makes. Let me see if I can actually... Here we go. Let me see if this link takes us to it. I actually had the... Oh, yeah, here it is. And this is... Damn it. I didn't actually want to do it this way, but... Apparently that last article was a reference to this article, and so here we go. This is the one I actually wanted to read. Anyway, continuing. Opinion on current issues in Kleeman v. Wright. Daniel Kelman is the author of this thing, and it was authored on June 23rd. So yes, penis. To whom it may concern. I am a lawyer licensed in New York, a solicitor licensed in Hong Kong, and a foreign registered lawyer in Taiwan. I have been in private practice focused on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency related matters since 2013. This opinion letter discusses the matter of Kleeman versus Wright in U.S. federal court in the Southern District of Florida. On June 16th, I commented that, quote, he's fucked, in reply to a tweet by Dr. Peter McCormick, referencing a court order compelling Dr. Craig Wright to produce certain Bitcoin addresses. This letter expands on that comment. No one has paid me for this opinion. I do not have inside knowledge of any aspect of this case unless otherwise indicated. I simply want to provide non-lawyers following this case some insight. Number 1. The background. Ira Kleeman has sued Wright for billions of US dollars, alleging that Wright stole from the late David Kleeman a sum of Bitcoins, the two mined during Bitcoin's earliest years. Wright is well known for claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's creator. Wright's claim to be Satoshi is heavily disputed due to Wright's refusal to provide evidence for this claim, such as cryptographically signing a message with any of Satoshi's known keys. It is for this reason Kleeman's action against Wright has attracted public attention. Wright has also been ordered by the court to produce a list of the Bitcoin addresses where the Bitcoins he and Kleeman mined are held. Wright has claimed this is impossible because those Bitcoins were placed into a, quote, blind trust in 2011, and he does not have access to it since the trust requires him to contact a number of trustees that are unreachable. The court's June 14th order indicates that it believes Wright does have the power to contact these trustees and access the trust, and ordered a hearing on June 28th as to whether Wright should be held in contempt of court for failing to produce the Bitcoin addresses in discovery. Contempt of court is a powerful remedy available to judges to ensure litigants comply with the court's rules and orders. Judges would be powerless to administer cases without it. Wright may face imprisonment or fines. The court also has the power to award Kleeman judgment for Wright's violation of the discovery order. Number 2. Legal strategies used by Kleeman and Wright. A. Kleeman's strategy. It appears obvious that Kleeman's legal team does not believe Wright to be Satoshi. I base this on their legal strategy and on information of which legal teams must be aware. Their legal strategy seems to be focused on exposing that Wright is not trustworthy, which also necessarily puts Wright's claim to be Satoshi to the test. For instance, Kleeman's legal team has called into doubt whether the, quote, blind trust actually has the Bitcoins in question or even exists. On its face, this is a somewhat peculiar strategy since Kleeman's claim to damages largely disappears if the billions of US dollars worth of Bitcoin never existed and was just made up by Wright. It is worth noting, however, that Wright's claim to be Bitcoin's creator has allowed him to procure tens of millions of US dollars in investment from various ventures. The current market cap of BSV, the token backed by Wright's camp, is close to a $4 billion US dollar market cap. Investors have a lot of money riding on Wright's continued claim to be Satoshi. It is on this basis that I believe the real strategy pursued by Kleeman's legal team may be to seek a confidential settlement from Wright for far less than the billions sought in court. In essence, pay me or get exposed. Much depends on what Kleeman is willing to settle for. B. Wright's strategy. Wright's legal team must know they are on the verge of losing the case in Florida. Wright's argument is less a legal one and more technical, that he is physically unable to access the trust. U.S. U.S. Magistrate Reinhardt has indicated he does not believe Wright's lawyers and thinks they have been misleading the court for months. At a hearing on May 6th, Reinhardt questions Wright's lawyers over details related to the, quote, blind trust, which revealed Wright's lawyers knew nothing about it. Reinhardt opined that this trust, along with Wright's inability to provide even basic information about it, was, quote, facially incredible. If their claims and evidentiary submissions in the months prior were truthful, Wright's lawyers should have already at least had basic details about the trust, ergo the names of trustees and legal terms in the trust documents. An affidavit signed by Wright on May 8th was filed in response to Reinhardt. Wright provided a sworn statement about the trust, stating the names of the trustees, which include Wright himself as a trustee. It is noteworthy that all of the trustees are either dead, unreachable, dissolved, in liquidation, or controlled by Wright. Wright is essentially lone remaining trustee of his own trust. He appears to be preparing the argument that he is unable to access the trust information since the unreachable trustees have keys needed to access it. In essence, this also means he would be locked out of accessing the bitcoins the trust holds. Moreover, at least one of the trustees, Coin Ltd., dissolved in 2017, appears to have only come into the picture in 2014, well after the trust was formed. A blog post released on June 20th contains research showing that the company was likely purchased in January 2014 by Wright. The post further states that Nguyen, one of the other trustees Wright cannot reach, was appointed as a director in 2012 when the company was a dormant shelf company. It's probably a shell company, really. Kleeman's lawyers are sure to be all over this, and on June 28th, Wright may have to respond as to how Coin Ltd. Came into the picture and how Eugene could have been appointed as a trustee at such time. Given U.S. Magistrate Reinhardt's tone towards Wright's lawyers at the May 6th hearing and the wording in his June 14th order, it is not a stretch to say he does not find Wright to be believable. His June 14th order makes clear he does not believe that Wright cannot contact the trustees to gain access to the trust. At the least, Wright's failure to make affirmative steps to locate and contact these trustees for months is enough for the courts to rule he has violated the discovery order and hold him in contempt. And if the court does not believe Wright, the federal rules of civil procedure allow the court to effectively hand the case to Kleeman as punishment for Wright's violation of the discovery order. If no settlement is reached and Wright cannot produce the list of Bitcoin addresses as ordered by the court, Wright will almost certainly lose the case to Kleeman. Losing to Kleeman will be potentially disastrous for Wright's ventures and those invested in them. There is certainly a risk that settlement cannot be reached, since the June 18th mediation hearing ended by noting simply that the parties are at an impasse. If Wright loses in this way, he will surely appeal, and the case could be settled during the appeal process. Number 3. Legal consequences for Wright's violation of the discovery order. What follows is a discussion on what may happen to Wright if he does not produce the Bitcoin addresses as required by the court's order to compel. In U.S. Magistrate Reinhardt's June 14th order, he cited two sources of authority for dealings with Wright's discovery violations, 28 U.S.C. 636E6B and Federal Rule of Civil Procedure, FRCP 37. Let's deal with those, and then we'll discuss the application of the U.S. Federal Contempt Statute 18 U.S.C. 401, see and note number 1. A. 28 U.S.C. 636E6B. The order to compel was issued by U.S. Magistrate Bruce Reinhardt. A magistrate is not a full judge and does not possess powers to hold those before him in contempt. This statute simply gives the magistrate power to refer the issue to a judge who has those powers, which in this case is U.S. District Court Judge Beth Bloom. FRCP 37. Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 37 governs how Judge Bloom will handle this matter. Rule 37 discusses when a judge can hold persons in the courtroom in contempt, and subsection 37B specifically authorizes contempt for failure to comply with a court order. Rule 37B2A sets out remedies for where a party refuses to comply with a court order to produce discovery, which here is Wright's refusal to produce the Bitcoin addresses. Remedies include 2. Prohibiting the disobedient party from supporting or opposing designated claims or defenses, or from introducing designated matters and evidence. 6. Rendering a default judgment against the disobedient party, or 7. Treating as contempt of court the failure to obey any order exempt an order to submit a physical or mental examination. If Wright cannot produce those Bitcoin addresses, subsection 6 empowers Judge Bloom to award a default judgment to claimant for the billions of US dollars he has asked for. Before we even get into the issue of whether Wright might be held in contempt, FRCP 37 permits the judge to rule in claimant's favor for Wright's violation of discovery orders. This possibility should be enough to make Wright's investors interested in the upcoming June 28th hearing. Given the tone U.S. Magistrate Reinhardt took at the hearing on May 6th and in his June 14th order, it seems likely that FRCP 37 will work to claimant's benefit on June 28th if those addresses are not produced. C. 18 U.S.C. 401. Judge Bloom can also hold Wright in contempt of court for violating the discovery order to produce the Bitcoin addresses. Contempt of court 401 is a criminal offense punishable by fine or imprisonment. The U.S. Constitution requires a trial by jury for serious offenses, and in the contempt context, this has been held to be punishments exceeding 6 months imprisonment or a $100,000 fine, see End Note 2. Judge Bloom thus has the power to send Wright to jail for months without the need for a separate jury trial. Number 1. The statute and legal standard. Let's look at the relevant position of 401's text, 401.3. A court of the United States shall have power to punish by fine or imprisonment, or both, at its discretion, such contempt of its authority, and none other as number 3, disobedience or resistance to its lawful writ, process, order, rule, decree, or command. Here 401.3 comes into play for Wright's disobedience/resistance to the court's order to produce the Bitcoin addresses. Federal courts have held, see End Note 3, that the following elements must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt to find the accused in violation of 401.3. Number 1. The court made an order of reasonable specificity. Number 2. The accused violated that order. And number 3. The violation was willful. It is clear that the order to produce the Bitcoin addresses was specific, and it will also be clear Wright has violated that order if he does not produce them by June 28th deadline. So much for number 1 and number 2. The case comes down to number 3, and whether Wright's violation was willful. 2. Wright's lawyers will argue not willful. Wright's lawyers argued on May 6 that failure to produce the addresses at that time was not willful, since the trustees are located in different places and the trust is complex. Indeed, Wright's May 8 affidavit appears to argue that it is impossible to access the trust because it requires keys held by several trustees who are either dead, unreachable, or are corporate entities that have been dissolved or are in liquidation. Wright has not stated in public records how many of the trustees are needed to access the trust's encrypted files. The entity trusts that are in liquidation should have court-appointed liquidators controlling them who would have access to the trust's encryption keys. The dissolved entity trustees would have taken steps to distribute company property upon dissolution. Wright has not been clear about what efforts Wright has made to contact the trustees, which Reinhardt expected him to have done months ago. That Wright is now the subject of a contempt hearing on June 28th indicates that Reinhardt does not believe his story. At the very least, Reinhardt believes Wright has for months willfully avoided contacting the trustees of the Blind Trust to escape his discovery obligations. Reinhardt may well believe the trust does not exist at all, and the issues related to the trustee coin Ltd. May raise further doubts as to Wright's credibility at the June 28th hearing. Wright's explanation may create enough reasonable doubt for a defense lawyer to get him off with a jury, but if Judge Bloom does not buy Wright's story, she can still sentence him 6 months in jail and hand a verdict to Kleeman. 3. Potential consequences for Wright's lawyers. Lawyers can also be held contempt under 401, where they, quote, deliberately or recklessly disregard his obligation to the court. See endnote number 4. U.S. Magistrate Reinhardt's tone at the May 6 hearing indicated he was not pleased with Wright's lawyers and did not believe their statements that they knew nothing about the Blind Trust. This was a warning to them. The lawyers procured an affidavit from Wright on May 8th that likely saves them from any contempt, as they are not in control of the client's statements and are taking measures to procure the discovery ordered by the court. Number 4. Conclusion. The foregoing has been provided merely to give some insight to those following the case as to legal issues taking at play. Regards, Daniel Kelman. And note number 1, there is a second contempt statute at 18 U.S.C. 402 that is not ripe for discussion. Number 2, the Supreme Court has explained that crimes carrying a sentence of more than 6 months are serious crimes, and those carrying a sentence of 6 months or less are petty crimes. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Oh, it looks like it has some responses too. Let me see if it'll show them. Come on, show it. Give me the goods. Satoshi trial. Aren't you Roger Vere's lawyer? Oh, that's interesting. And Saint Vice says, please understand, Brainlet, he cannot reveal the addresses because Corecoin will soft fork his coins. I don't think so. What's the response on that one? Apparently there was a response. Oh, I don't see it. Alright. Let's get back to this thing. Let's see. Stein Ludvigsen says, Daniel, you are dishonest when you don't disclose your relationship with Bitcoin.com and your incentives. Stop pretending to be neutral. Interesting. I'm smelling another angle here. Satoshi Trial says, hi, Daniel. As you are a qualified lawyer with crypto experience, perhaps you can comment on the accuracy of the movie dialogue and legal proceedings in the new movie being made about Dr. Craig S. Wright versus Peter McCormick libel trial. Thanks. That's interesting. Let's see here. Gordon H. Einstein Esquire says, this is good and comprehensive work. However, with respect, your LinkedIn page indicates that you are currently general counsel for Bitcoin.com, which I believe is related to Roger Ver, who I know and like. Since Roger and Craig Wright and his crew are at odds, I believe that you should fully disclose this relationship with Bitcoin.com/Roger, as it is potentially a source of author bias. You're right, your readers are entitled to know about this potential bias, even if you are not compensated for writing this article, and even if you view yourself as acting in a completely objective manner. I suggest you edit this article to indicate this disclosure. Gordon. Excellent point, Gordon. Yes. Yes, indicate one's bias. It helps. Let's see here if there's any more to this. Oh, so yeah, that's interesting. I think all told, this is a pretty interesting gig. You know, I mean, it's a really detailed perspective, but at the same time, I don't know that it's really going to settle, you know, what the deal is. You know, whether or not Craig is actually Satoshi. I don't think he is, but we'll find out, you know, one way or another. But yeah, I still think he's probably headed for prison and probably going to get his ass taxed a lot in more ways than one. But you know, this is the game that you play, man. I mean, when you set yourself up as a human honeypot, you know, of course people are going to try and reach in there and pull stuff out. I'm sorry, you're probably not going to like it either. But it's the truth, you know. I mean, people think that you've got all this money. Well, you know, they're going to try and get a hold of it, and it's probably not going to end with the courts. And I think that's probably the scarier part, is that, like, in the future, sometimes somebody might try and jack your money from you, and you don't actually have the money, and you're like, dude, I'm not Satoshi Nakamoto, no, don't kill me. But by then, it's way too late. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And we didn't play any Body Count last time. And I wanted to play Ski Mask Way, but it's a little overdone. So, I'm thinking maybe No Lives Matter? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So here it is. Oh, no, wait. Bloodlust. There we go. Bloodlust by Body Count, here on Coin Metal. And that was Prong with Divide and Conquer. Man, I gotta tell you, it's been a while since we've seen a release by Prong. I mean, I hate to belabor it, because, you know, I know Tommy is such a busy guy. I'm sure he's buried up to his neck in like 3 other projects at the moment. But, you know, for a while there, he was like on this mad rush, man. He fucking put out, what was it? From Scorpio Rising on through 0 Days, it was almost an album every year. I mean, there was like, I don't know, maybe an 18-month interval, you know, where he was like touring or some shit like that. And so it's like, you know, maybe he spent that whole hiatus time writing albums, you know. I mean, who's to say? But I think he's either touring right. He might be on like the European leg of his tour. But I did see something that made me think either A, that came to an end, or B, he just got a different drummer, because I guess Aaron Rossi is going back home for some reason or another, and I don't know if he was touring with Tommy or not, but I know that he did play a few shows on the U.S. leg of Tommy Saw's tour for Prong, which is, of course, in support of 0 Days. But anyway, back into crypto stuff. As far as BSV is concerned, I think it'll be fine. I think there are enough honest people that are involved with BSV that it'll probably carry on after whatever culminates with regard to CSW culminates. But there is something kind of interesting about BSV, and I caught this on my Twitter feed a little bit ago, about 6 hours ago. And so here it is. It's on Cointelegraph.com by Helen Parts. So no penis. 98% of BSV transactions used for writing weather data on blockchain. More than 98% of transactions on the Bitcoin SV blockchain over the past 30 days have been used for writing data for a weather app, Twitter personality Painted Frog noted today, June 24th. Citing data from Bitcoin Cash blockchain visualizer trends.cash, Painted Frog noted that the vast majority of BSV transactions have been implemented so far for sharing weather data through Bitcoin SV-powered app WeatherSV. According to the website, other BSV implementations over the past 30 days included Bitcoin Cash-based social network Memo, an incentivized BDV tool called Open Directory, as well as BSV-powered payment system MoneyButton. With that, WeatherSV has accounted for more than 1.2 million transactions over the period, while Memo, ranked second according to the number of transactions, has recorded just about 9,000 transactions for the same time span. As Painted Frog noted in his tweet, WeatherSV is actually a paid subscription service that hourly copies data from an existing weather website, openweathermap.org, generating most of the transactions on the BSV network. While Bitcoin Cash is the first hard fork of Bitcoin created back in August of 2017, Bitcoin SV is a hard fork version of Bitcoin Cash and is led by self-proclaimed creator of Bitcoin, Craig Wright, who recently failed to disclose his Bitcoin holdings per court order. And we're not going to get back into that. At press time, Bitcoin Cash is the fourth largest cryptocurrency by market cap, trading at $473.41, while Bitcoin SV ranked 8th at $235.71, according to data from CoinMarketCap. Holy crap. I had no idea SV was that high right now. Well, you know, I don't usually watch it on the cash end of things. I typically watch it on the Bitcoin valuation, and it didn't seem to be that high, I guess. But yeah, it's really interesting that like all of their traffic is this one app, and it's a subscription service that's going from an open service. So I don't know. That smells kind of scammy in and of itself. I mean, why wouldn't you just mark the original source page and disregard paying for it, right? I mean, you could set up like an alert on the website itself, I'm sure, and just get it taken care of that way. But I don't know. I'm not running it. It's not my gig, so anyway, I got another article about that, but I'm not going to go into it because it's basically the same stuff over and over again, and we're not going to do that. But I did want to get into something else here. And let's see, where is the thing? Craig Wright lawsuit. We already took care of that. No, that's mine. Oh, no, that's later. Next one. This one, we've already seen this. As a matter of fact, this kind of shit basically led Facebook to eliminate the ability of a lot of people to publicize what they're doing with their cryptocurrencies on the platform. And basically it was that people were setting up scams, and they were doing it extremely cheaply in Facebook and scamming people out of a shit ton of money. So like I said, basically that it got so bad that Facebook put a kibosh on any kind of ads concerning cryptocurrencies. But it has not stopped the scammers. I've actually seen multiple scammers during the time when they were supposedly banned, putting out their shit on Facebook. So yeah. Anyway, kind of knew this one would eventually surface or would eventually occur, and this one's on CoinDesk. Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency. Bad for privacy, bad for competition. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't... Wait a minute. Where the fuck is the one that... It's a different one. Different one. Damn it, Jim. Let me see if I can actually find that. It's fucking... There was something on here about Libra scam. Oh, let's see here. There it is. Here it is. This is on Coindesk.com. Scammers target Libra fans with fake sites. Zuckbucks. Oh shit, that's funny. And this by Daniel Kuhn, authored June 24th, 2019 at 23:45 UTC. So yes, penis. Several exploitive websites launched over the weekend aimed at separating credulous Libra investors from their cash. Though Libra has not seen a public debut, the media buzz around it has piqued some would-be investors' attention. While the majority of searches around buying Libra are focused on how to exchange it for BTC, according to Google Trends and Reddit, some nefarious scammers are hoping to ensnare the hapless trader in a supposed Libra pre-sale. One site, Calibra.com, note the I, is a mirror image of Facebook's legitimate website, Calibra.com. The artifice begins by switching normal English for a normal English I for an agave accent I, or a grave accent. I don't understand the reference, honestly. Those unfamiliar with Alcozuaka Mixtec, Italian, Sardinian, Taos, Vietnamese, Welsh, Scottish Gaelic, or the constructed language Navi, may have the Unicode character that at least one reporter confused for a bit of dust. Like the URL, the customer-facing scam website has some slight differences when compared side by side to the legitimate site. Both websites had the same marketing materials, wording, fonts, color schemes, interactive displays, and slogans, although the fraudulent one looks askew. Additionally, in the top right corner is a button that says, quote, pre-sale Libra currency, instead of the social media giant's welcoming introduction, get started. Clicking on the button opens another web page that claims to offer a 25% bonus for trading Libra. Better act now, as the pre-sale price is 93% complete, the scammers allege. Traders are offered the option to swap 600 Libra for 2 Ethereum or 8,000 Libra for 20 Ethereum, which is approximately the same 1-to-1 Libra $2 conversion Facebook was intending. While this particular scam, hosted in Russia no less, is an obvious ploy to capitalize on the general incoherence of Facebook's plan, some of the chicanery put online is a bit of more derisive sort. Zuckbucks offers visitors the option to swap Ethereum for Z-Bucks, an ERC20 token which can be used to do absolutely nothing. Quote, want to buy a cup of coffee with your Z-Bucks? Too bad. Need to pay your bills? Better use another currency. Want to pile on Mark Zuckerberg's already incredibly overinflated bank account? Now we're getting somewhere, according to the website. Indeed, if Facebook is behind Zuckbucks, it surely would be the quickest and most convenient way to, quote, feed Mark Zuckerberg's insatiable greed. The masterminds behind Zuckbucks promise to spend the funds they collect on gas and kick the remaining balance up to the dev team. They write, Quote, just like Libra, Zuckbucks offers no inherent benefit besides putting your money directly into the pocket of the developers. Of the 1.5 million Zuckbucks available, 961,845 are currently in circulation. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. Yeah, it's crypto life, man. There's people looking to get rich, and there's people looking to get rich off of those people looking to get rich. I mean, that's pretty much how this has always been. As a matter of fact, it's been my experience that that's pretty much investment in general, and the more guaranteed the funds, the more duplicity is involved. That's kind of a given, But I did have this other Facebook thing I wanted to get into before we launch back into some music here. Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency, bad for privacy, bad for competition. This is by Scott Shea, authored June 25th, 2019 at 4 UTC. So apparently he's a time traveler. But yes, penis. Allowing Facebook to mint its own coin, the Libra, would turn it into the greatest anti-competitive trust case in history. It would make the early 20th century Morgans or Rockefellers seem downright competitive. Even before it unveiled its vision for a global cryptocurrency this month, Facebook was already a near monopoly on social media and part of a duopoly in its main markets. Together with Google, it controls 82% of the digital advertising market. In the past, Facebook has purchased any company that threatened it, ergo Instagram and WhatsApp, and when it spots a company that won't sell itself or would be difficult to purchase, it uses the quote, embrace, enhance, and extinguish technique. Facebook saw Snap Inc., maker of Snapchat, contesting a small part of its franchise, so it embraced Snap's best features and integrated them into its app. Now Facebook is hoping to extinguish Snap as a competitor. Compare the stock performance of Snap and Facebook, and you will probably place your bet on Facebook. But it is not simply Facebook's business practices that are of concern. Neither Facebook nor Google charges for their consumer products, obscuring the fact that all-encompassing consumer tracking is their real product. In many cases, their data is better than what the KGB or CIA could have gathered 20 years ago, and their data is certainly a lot cheaper since it is voluntarily provided and easily accessible. We would not want our government agencies to have this sort of power, nor should we want it to be in the hands of corporations. Facebook and Google have already shown their political muscle with their duopoly on digital marketing, advertising. These companies have transformed the nature of the news. Only a few news sites such as the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times can resist their gravitational pull and still attract direct advertisers as well as subscribers. Most other publications must use Google Ads, which provide far less revenue to the outlet, slice and dice their readership, and force newspapers to write clickbait. Ads to readers are so well placed because of the mountain of information that can be inputted into their algorithms. The same holds true for news content viewed on Facebook. Now with Project Libra, Facebook wants to exponentially increase its monopolistic power by accessing unparalleled information about our consumer purchasing habits. If allowed to proceed with Libra, a company that knows your every mood and virtually controls the news that you will see, will also have access to the deepest insights into your spending patterns. Privacy threat. Of course, Facebook will speak piously about privacy controls and its concern for the consumer, yet it will still figure out a way to sell the data, or others who will buy the data will figure it out for them. Furthermore, the richness of the social media data Facebook consistently garners, even anonymized data, can be recalibrated to distill specific individual-related information and preferences. Facebook, along with its other monopolist rent-seeking cohorts such as eBay, Uber, and MasterCard, all say they don't want to do that. Quite frankly, there is zero reason to believe such promises. Their culture is based strictly on brand concerns and access to personal data. Additionally, hacks of social media are now so common that we are inured to them. Consumers can have the benefit of a digital payment mechanism without allowing Facebook to gain more power. And as a matter of fact, they can use Facebook to use them. But we're not going to go there right now. In the financial services sector, my institution's Signature Bank was the first to introduce a 24/7 blockchain-enabled payment system. No, you weren't. That was Bitcoin. As one would expect, others such as JP Morgan are trying to follow suit and will no doubt be competitors someday. Banks and financial institutions are limited in their access to and transmission of information, and for good reason. If Facebook, on the other hand, establishes Libra, no other competitor will have equal access to its data, and therefore a chance at the consumer payment market. In this way, Libra is in keeping with Facebook's monopolistic business style. Further, the information monopoly Facebook would possess will be similar to what the Chinese government possesses, but needs the Great Firewall to execute. Monopolistic forces will produce the same result through different means. Call to action. Action needs to be taken quickly to stop Libra and break up big tech, not only for the welfare of consumers, but for the good of the nation. The first step is to force Facebook to divest or spin off Instagram, WhatsApp, Instagram, and ChainSpace, the blockchain startup it acquired last year. Or acquired last year. Facebook also must be mandated to offer a parallel, ad-free, no collection of information site supported by fee-based subscriptions. Over time, this would provide some transparency as to the value of the consumer information currently being gifted to Facebook. Google should be forced to divest or spin off YouTube, DoubleClick, and other advertising entities, cloud services, and Android. Amazon similarly needs a radical breakup, as it too poses systemic threats to a transparent market. Alexa is a prime example of the private data Amazon gathers on users' lifestyle and personal habits. The breakup of these behemoths cannot wait until after the 2020 election. Some action must be taken on a bipartisan basis as soon as possible. Yeah, whatever. I think this whole fucking Libra scare is overblown. But ultimately, it's like Bitcoin, all right? There are several Bitcoiners these days that are pissed off at the fact that Bitcoin doesn't have like 90% market dominance. You know, the vast majority of people aren't using Bitcoin. Well, you know, that's basically a reflection of their values and their operations versus other cryptocurrencies in this space. And Facebook's current coin will be no different in that aspect. There are thousands of coins that do not have the same aspect of giving all of your information, your financial information, to Facebook and allowing them to sell it. So, I mean, if you want an option that doesn't include Facebook, use one. There's plenty of them out there. You know, with the simple QT wallet, you could be doing business with people in Facebook right now and not cutting Facebook in or anybody else in on the transactions that you're conducting with whomever it may be. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And of course, I haven't picked anything out, so we're just going to go for it. And I recently got this album, and I haven't been playing it very much. And so let's go for it. A little bit of Red Fang here. Blood Like Cream. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Voivod with Event Horizon. Yeah. And so, it seems I found a little bit of a correction. You know, whenever you're reporting on anything that's related to BSV and or BCH, you do have to keep in mind that there's a good chance if one is reporting on an aspect or something happening in the other, that they're going to taint things in certain ways. They're going to flavor the information a little bit to make themselves look a little better. So I was going through my Twitter feed here, and I found this thing from the app guys for Weather SV. And it says, these guys think our app is dumb, yet rely on misinformed tweet as basis of an article, fake news, piss poor journalism. So I said, I covered this on my show tonight. I didn't mean it as a slight against you, so please, if there is a discrepancy in the accuracy of the reporting concerning the volume of BSV's traffic, I'd be more than happy to cover it too. And so this was their response. Quote, the graph being referred to from trends.cash only shows Bitcoin registered protocols that use op_return data field for transactions. This graph does not include all BSV transactions. So, I gotta wonder. I'm gonna have to comment back to them on that one, but not necessarily at this moment. Just gonna have to leave that open on another tab. Maybe get back to them on it and cover it, a little more in depth. Hopefully before the end of this show. You never know. Anyway, what else I wanted to get into? We covered the Zuckbucks thing, and that one, dude, we already saw that happen once. Okay, we already saw that with all the scammers that were making up ads and shit on Facebook, and so I can't say that it's anything really surprising. Certainly, people are chasing after money, so people are going to look at it unorthodox means of trying to earn that money, and are in fact going to get wrecked and or wreck other people. We still have yet to see the full fallout from BitConnect, I think. There was that brief attempt to resurrect it with BitConnect 2.0, and I gotta wonder where the fuck that came from. I mean, because that one was farcical at the very least, if not just downright kind of spiteful. It's like, no, we didn't rip you off enough. We're coming back for more. So anyway, I got this article here on Cointelegraph.com. This is by Max Body. So yes, penis. U.S. House of Representatives to hold hearing on Facebook's Libra in July. And so here we go. The United States House Financial Services Committee will be holding a hearing on the social media giant Facebook's proposed virtual currency Libra on July 17th, according to a press release on June 24th. And we're going to go ahead and just go to that. I don't know. That's not really a good thing. Anyway, continuing on. The announcement comes by way of committee chairwoman Representative Maxine Waters, who previously called on Facebook to cease work on Libra until Congress and regulators had a chance to scrutinize the proposal. Quote, given the company's troubled past, I'm requesting that Facebook agree to a moratorium on any movement forward on developing a cryptocurrency unless Congress and regulators have an opportunity to examine these issues and take action. In her public statement, Waters also commented on the lack of uniform regulation in the cryptocurrency market and said that regulators should view Facebook's plans for Libra as a wake-up call to get serious about the privacy and national security concerns, cybersecurity risks, and trading risks that are posed by cryptocurrencies. It's bullshit. We're fucking trading fucking baseball cards just because one is worth more than the other and we're actually making money on it. Is none of your business. Continuing. The Senate Banking Committee is also reportedly scheduled to hear the details of Libra the day prior on July 16th in a session called, quote, Examining Facebook's Proposed Digital Currency and Data Privacy Considerations. As previously reported by Cointelegraph, France is heading efforts to create an international task force focused on regulating cryptocurrencies via central banks. The task force will reportedly be a G7 committee operating under the Benoit Cœur, a board member of the European Central Bank. France is reportedly against Libra operating as a sovereign currency and is concerned about how to enforce regulatory compliance, such as anti-money laundering laws. Yeah, you can just give up on that now and just kind of get over with it, you know? And it's funny. John Doe says, funny how Facebook used to be the champion for the left and now they want to sabotage Libra? Oh, FB, no one likes you, MySpace 2.0. Yeah, kinda. So, first, Maxine Waters doesn't really have any right to be trying to regulate Libra coin or anything with regard to cryptocurrencies. I think that's so far beyond their scope, their realm of regulatory power that, you know, I don't see a whole lot of merit in listening to them. You know, and it we've seen it expressed in other countries, and we're going to see it again and again and again and again. That the more illegal a government tries to make cryptocurrencies and using cryptocurrencies, the more people are going to fucking use them. It's like trying to put out a fire by throwing white gas on it. It doesn't work. You know, the thing doesn't go out. It just gets bigger. Really, I mean, it's really surprising to me, you know, that they're. But you know, the whole thing with Maxine Waters and what she was saying with, you know, some attempt to, you know, establish regulatory conditions and all that other shit for cryptocurrencies based on this thing with Facebook. I posited this to Bryce Wiener that I felt like maybe the whole reason why Libra coin was even invented was because Facebook themselves, as a body, are under such regulatory scrutiny at this point, and they're looking to put somebody up in front of them. And so they're saying, hey, those crypto guys are doing a lot of shit you don't like. What if we, like, help you put some reins on them? And the sad part is they're not actually going to succeed at doing that. If anything, they'll be succeeding at putting a lot of innocent people in jail for no real good reason. You know, we've seen that happen in elsewhere too. But there was another thing I wanted to cover on that. Oh, let's see. No. Damn it, Jim. Oy. Having a little difficulty finding it all. That's what I get for smoking my own, man. That stuff is just too good. Let's see. Visualize what Bitcoin is saying. No. Facebook signals group here. Close that business. Here it is. You know, we've been covering what regulators have had to say about Libra and what other entities like other cryptocurrency projects and whatnot have had to say about Libra. And so yeah, I got this other set of opinions, and why not? Let's get into it. This is on CryptoSuck.com. These fucking people, man. They made their URL Crypto SUK. And I'm sure it's meant to be United Kingdom, but it just looks like Crypto Suck to me. Anyway, let's see if we can find the actual article. See if it gives us a link. Maybe. Yeah, here we go. This is on ccn.com. And that's why I always follow shit up, because CryptoSuck is just it's a news aggregator, and so if you don't follow through, you get stuck in their bullshit. Anyways, so here it is. 21 brutally honest opinions about Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency. And this is by Ben Brown. So yes, penis. And when was it authored? Doesn't actually give us a date and time. Shame on you, Ben. Continuing. By CCN Markets. Maybe you heard the news. Facebook is launching a cryptocurrency called Libra. Cue the endless tweet storms and Medium posts and think pieces. Here are some of the most important comments from regulators, blockchain experts, finance analysts, regulators, and Facebook executives themselves. Bitcoin community on Facebook cryptocurrency. The crypto community is split over Facebook's announcement. Most were quick to point out that it's not a real blockchain, but they almost unanimously believe it will open the door for Bitcoin and threaten traditional finance. Number 1, Ryan Selkis, Messari CEO. Facebook Libra is a gateway drug for crypto? Possibly. Number 2, Eric Voorhees, Bitcoin pioneer and Shapeshift CEO. Quote, zoom out for a second and realize how far this industry has come. The biggest companies in the world are now launching cryptocurrencies. Boom. 3, Andreas Antonopoulos, Bitcoin evangelist and misinformer. Quote, Facebook's Libra a real blockchain? No. Will it compete against Bitcoin and truly open public blockchains? Never. Read why Libra doesn't meet his criteria of blockchain here, and we're not going to cover that. Tomas Bloomer, Bitcoin developer, quote, trying to buy leadership in a cutting-edge technology is very expensive and likely futile. I am pretty certain that this will be a very expensive failure, but a great door opener for Bitcoin. Number 5, Shenzhou, Three Arrows Capital, quote, I think there's something punk rock and subversive about the Libra white paper. Not really, dude. You're just not paying attention. Number 6, Changpeng Zhao, quote, and from Binance, the CEO. So, CZ for those of us in the know. Quote, Facebook should accept Bitcoin and BNB, of course, alongside Libra in the WhatsApp, Messenger, Facebook, and Instagram apps. I agree. And other cryptocurrencies. 7, Nick Carter, Castle Island Ventures, quote, if Facebook can pull off this ambitious scheme, it accelerates the inevitable collapse of the long tail of sovereign currencies. That's actually pretty apt right there. 8, Cameron Winklevoss, prediction, every FANG company will have its own coin within 24 months. The twins also said there was no love lost towards Mark Zuckerberg's crypto project. Yeah, it's because they put money in it. Facebook representatives. Mark Zuckerberg trying to convince us that Libra is private. It's not. And decentralized. It's not yet. While the project's lead, David Marcus, promised it wasn't a threat to Bitcoin. Number 9, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook CEO. Quote, it's decentralized, meaning it's run by many different organizations instead of just one, making the system fairer overall. This is an important part of our vision for a privacy-focused social platform. Yeah, meaning invading your privacy. 10. Sheryl Sandberg, Facebook COO. Quote, "We're not going to run this. It's going to be an association, not reporting to Facebook." Number 11. David Marcus, head of Libra Calibra Project. Many want to pit Libra versus Bitcoin. In my mind, these two are not in the same category. BTC is a decorrelated investment asset. Libra is designed to be a stable medium of exchange. I have been and remain a fan of BTC, but for very different purposes. Governments and regulators. Governments were not happy about the Facebook cryptocurrency plan. Members of Congress called for development to be stopped immediately, while central banks were cautious. Only presidential hopeful Andrew Yang had positive words for Libra. Number 12. Bruno Le Maire, French finance minister, quote, "It's out of the question that Libra becomes a sovereign currency. It can't and must not happen." That's out of your control, dude. Number 13. Democratic Representative Maxine Waters, chair of the House Financial Services Committee, called for a complete halt on Facebook's Libra currency. Quote, "Given the company's troubled past, I'm requesting that Facebook agree to a moratorium on any movement forward on developing a cryptocurrency until Congress and regulators have the opportunity to examine these issues and take action." Number 14. Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chairman, confirmed Facebook had come to the Fed for guidance, but he would have high regulatory expectations. Quote, "There are potential benefits here. There are also potential risks, particularly of a currency that could potentially have large application." 15. Mark Carney, Bank of England Governor. Quote, "We will look at it very closely and in a coordinated fashion, so open mind, but not open door." Read more about his thoughts here, which we're not going to do right now. 16. Elizabeth Warren, Democratic presidential candidate. Warren shared a USA Today article about Libra and said, quote, "Facebook has too much power and a terrible track record when it comes to protecting our private information. We need to hold them accountable, not give them a chance to access even more user data." It's not your call, Elizabeth. 17. Andrew Yang, Democratic presidential candidate. Quote, "The new Facebook-based cryptocurrency Libra could be a big step for hundreds of millions of unbanked around the world. Its use of the blockchain makes a lot of sense." Actually, Andrew, you don't know jack shit about either Facebook or blockchains, so please, save us. Traditional finance analysts. Some of the most over-the-top rhetoric came from traditional analysts. Most agree that Facebook's cryptocurrency will have a positive impact on the company's stock, but almost zero have devoted much analysis to Libra or its blockchain directly. Number 18. Mark Mahaney, RBC analyst. Quote, "We believe this may prove to be one of the most important initiatives in the history of the company to unlock new engagement and revenue streams." Number 19. Jim Cramer, the outspoken CNBC presenter, praised the move, claiming, quote, "The disenfranchised will welcome Mark Zuckerberg as a savior," which seems optimistic. Yeah, overly so. Michael Levine, Pivotal Research, quote, "Facebook's cryptocurrency could be more widely adopted than Bitcoin." No. The best Facebook cryptocurrency take? I'll leave you with perhaps the finest take on Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency. 21. Sarah Jamie Lewis, Open Privacy. Quote, "Can't wait for a cryptocurrency with the ethics of Uber. the censorship resistance of PayPal, the centralization of Visa, all tied together under the proven privacy of Facebook. Absolutely. Absolutely, Sarah. Thank you. A disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there you have it. Pretty much the whole universe agrees that Facebook's coin will not be anything like what they say it's going to be. And I don't care. I really don't. I mean, Facebook can do whatever the fuck it wants with regard to a cryptocurrency. I really don't care. Because ultimately it's going to be you. Yeah, you. You're the one that's going to decide whether or not you're going to use Facebook's coin. And so the bloviating of regulators and even of Zuckerberg himself does not fucking matter. Doesn't matter at all. Anyway, let's go and throw back down into some music for just a few here. And I'm feeling the need for a little bit of Within the Ruins. So here it is, New Holy War by Within the Ruins here on Coin Metal. And that was Wayne Static with Assassins of Youth. Yeah, we're winding it down here towards the end, and you know, I guess the overriding theme here is that there's fucking scammers, man. There's fucking scammers everywhere. There's scammers in government. There's scammers in fucking business. There's scammers in cryptocurrencies. And you gotta watch out for your own bunghole, man. Everybody got an angle. And you know, I do my best to give you guys like at least as low filter as I possibly can. You know, I mean, you got my filter to deal with, but you know, I mean, if you're here, you're willing to tolerate that level of subjectivity. But you know, the fact of the matter is that people flavor shit the way that they want you to understand it, the way that they want you to see it. You know, and it's really important to keep that in mind when you're assimilating data, because for all you know, somebody is steering you in a direction that might not necessarily be in your best interest, either financially or otherwise. And so it is with that, I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. Not even Facebook. As far as our last dance is concerned, I have not picked one out. But you know, we got kind of a little bit of time here, so I think we can throw it down a little bit of Tool Vicarious here on Coin Metal. And so I'm going to get down to it. And so here it is, Vicarious, Last Dance here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening. Good night.